Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise, really pull out the key insights from a whole range of recent news.
Yeah, exactly.
Our mission today, to unpack a weekly news wrap-up, focusing on these stories that are, genuinely shaping India's economic landscape right now. We're covering quite a bit from, let's see, stock market integrity issues, tech giants stepping into new areas, even some really complex resource allocation stuff.
It's a real mix.
Definitely. And corporate rivalries, green energy challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots to get into.
And what's really compelling, I think, is how these stories, they might seem separate at first glance, right? But when you start connecting the dots, you see these bigger trends, in India's economy, innovation, how regulation is shifting, even societal choices.
Absolutely.
So our goal is to give you that clearer picture of this so what behind the headlines, basically. So you feel informed, not just overloaded with facts.
Perfect. Okay, so let's dive right in. First up, a story that, honestly, it really makes you pause and think about market fairness.
The BSE one.
Yeah, the Bombay Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
India's oldest exchange, right? And SEBI, the market regulator, just hit them with a penalty. And the core issue, apparently, was that BSE allegedly let select clients get market-moving news just seconds before everyone else.
Through a premium data feed, yeah.
Exactly. Now, in today's world of algorithmic trading, seconds, that's huge.
It's an eternity in that context, a massive advantage.
Totally. So if you kind of assumed stock exchanges were just these neutral pipes for information, well, this SEBI order might make you think again.
It certainly challenges that perception.
Yeah, cuts right to the heart of, trust and fairness in the market.
And the key thing here, I think, isn't just the penalty amount itself. It's SEBI drawing a line.
Okay.
They're basically saying, look, even a few seconds of difference in accessing crucial data in this high-speed environment, that's not on. It fundamentally breaches market integrity.
So the signal.
A very strong signal. It kind of redefines what fairness means, even for an institution as, well, established as the BSE.
That's a powerful message about trust. But, given how fast everything moves now, all the algorithms, is a truly level playing field even possible? Or are regulators always going to be sort of playing catch-up?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Regulators are constantly trying to adapt.
Right.
But this ruling suggests SEBI is taking a hard stance. They're saying, we will enforce fairness, even if it means scrutinizing these very fast data systems. So it really puts the pressure back on the exchanges themselves. Make sure your tech, your premium services, don't accidentally create these unfair advantages.
Interesting. Okay, so from traditional finance, let's pivot. A completely different kind of disruption, potentially.
Okay.
Amazon. A huge tech player, obviously. Trying to make waves again, this time in Indian healthcare. Specifically the diagnostics market.
Right, I saw this. They're partnering up.
Yeah, with Orange Health Labs. Offering speedy at-home test collections in major cities. Blood tests, that sort of thing, picked up from your home.
Convenience play? Seems like it. And the market definitely noticed. You hear investors in the big traditional chains, Dr. Lalpath Labs, Metropolis, they're feeling, let's say, a bit jittery.
Understandably. Amazon entering any market makes waves.
So what does this really mean? Can Amazon actually disrupt this space? It feels different from selling books or electronics.
It is fundamentally different. And that's the crucial point here, I think. Healthcare versus e-commerce in India. They're worlds apart.
How so?
Well, Amazon's brilliant at logistics, speed, convenience. But healthcare, it's built on trust. Deep personal trust.
Okay.
And the sources point this out. Indians generally aren't exactly queuing up for preventive checkups, right? It's often need-based. And crucially, trust is hard-earned when it comes to your blood reports. You need to believe in the accuracy, the reliability.
Right, the stakes are much higher.
Exactly. So can Amazon's usual playbook convenience above all work here? That's the big test. Because the product isn't just a test, it's trust itself.
That makes sense. It suggests their model, the one that worked so well in retail, it needs more than just tweaking for healthcare in India. It might need a fundamental rethink.
That local context, the trust factor, seems huge. But playing devil's advocate for a second, Amazon is incredibly efficient. Could that sheer convenience over time maybe start to chip away at that trust deficit, especially for routine tests?
It's possible, but it would be a long game. Think about it right now. Trust often comes from your doctor saying, go to this lab, or because a lab's been around forever.
Yeah, established reputation.
Exactly. Amazon has to build that from scratch in healthcare. Speed helps, but they also need rock-solid perceived reliability. Accuracy is paramount. A wrong blood report is way more serious than a delayed package.
True. Very true. Okay, let's shift gears again to a government policy decision this time. And this one's, well, it's quite controversial.
Oh, which one's this?
India is planning to convert rice, specifically over 5 million metric tons of rice from FCI go-downs, government storage, into ethanol.
Wow, okay. Rice into ethanol.
Yeah. The idea on paper seems quite clever, right? Blend the ethanol with petrol, reduce oil imports. Helps with the surplus rice problem, too.
Addresses two issues at once, potentially.
But it immediately throws up that classic dilemma, food versus fuel.
Absolutely. And this really brings up some critical questions about sustainability, long-term trade-offs.
Yeah.
I mean, is diverting food stock like this truly sustainable, especially in a country where, let's be honest, malnutrition remains widespread?
That's the ethical dimension, yeah.
And beyond that, what about the ripple effects? Potential distortions in crop prices, pressures on water usage, more strain on storage. It forces you to think much broader than just the immediate goal of cutting oil imports.
So it's not just a simple calculation.
Not at all. It's a stark reminder that policies, even those that look good on the surface, can have these really complex, far-reaching consequences, social, environmental.
It really highlights the tough choices, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Balancing immediate economic gains, like lower oil import bills, against these broader social factors like food security. It's a real tightrope walk.
It absolutely is. And these decisions are never simple. You always have different groups with competing interests, right? And the real cost, or the real benefit, often goes way beyond what you see on a spreadsheet.
Right. These kinds of complex trade-offs, food versus fuel, they don't just happen at the government level. You see similar pressures playing out in the corporate world, too.
Which actually brings us nicely to our next topic, the Indian paints sector.
Ah, the paint war is heating up again.
Seems like it. Asian Paints, the big market leader, is apparently under the Competition Commission's microscope. Again.
Right. I remember the previous case.
Exactly. So this time, the accusation comes from Grasim Industries, part of the Aditya Birla Group, launching their new brand, Birla Opus. And they're alleging that Asian Paints is basically bullying dealers, pushing them to refuse rival products using exclusive perks and maybe some silent arm twisting. Classic anti-competitive behavior allegations.
Yeah. But as you mentioned, the CCI, the Competition Commission of India, actually dismissed a very similar case brought by JSW Paints just a few years back.
They did.
So what does this new case mean? Does it have legs, especially given that history?
Well, if we look at the bigger picture, these competition cases are super important. They really define the rules of the game in a market.
Sets precedent.
Exactly. But proving these things, especially the silent arm twisting, is notoriously difficult.
Why is that?
Because it's often subtle. Not a direct order, but pressure, hints, incentives structured in a certain way.
Right.
The fact that CCI dismissed the JSW case definitely raises the bar for Birla Opus. Do they have stronger evidence this time? Or maybe is the regulatory climate itself changing? Is the CCI becoming more sensitive to how dominant players might be using their clout?
Interesting angle.
This case could actually signal a shift, a stricter view on market dominance. And that would have huge implications for big companies across all sectors in India.
It's fascinating how these cases really test what fair competition even means. What makes it so hard for regulators like the CCI to nail down proof?
Yeah.
Is it just the subtlety or the power imbalance between a giant like Asian Paints and the dealers?
It's probably a mix of both. You need a lot to prove a pattern of subtle pressure, tons of data, dealer testimonies, which can be hard to get, and a real deep dive into how the market actually works day to day.
Yeah.
Plus, dominant companies often have legitimate business reasons for their strategies, right? So regulators have to carefully pick apart what's just aggressive but fair competition versus what crosses the line into being anti-competitive. It becomes a very, very nuanced legal fight.
Makes sense. Okay, one final area to explore today.
Yeah.
India's clean energy ambitions versus, well, the reality on the ground. Rooftop solar.
Ah, yes, the solar target.
Exactly. The government has this big target, 40 GW of rooftop solar power. Ambitious stuff.
Very ambitious.
But where are we actually? Stuck at around 11 GW, a huge gap.
Still a long way to go.
And what's puzzling is you've got subsidies, awareness campaigns, people talking about free electricity eventually. So why is adoption lagging so badly? The reasons listed are sort of a mixed bag. Patchy execution of policies, power distribution companies, the discoms being wary, high upfront costs for homeowners, and just not enough skilled workers to actually install the panels.
Yeah, it's a complex set of hurdles.
It feels like it should be solvable,
Yeah.
but that gap just persists.
And what's really striking here, I think, is that gap between the policy ambition, the big target, and what's actually happening on the ground.
Yeah.
This isn't just about hitting a number. It's critical because India's energy demand is soaring, especially with predictions of record summer electricity demand.
Right. We need that clean power.
We absolutely do, for energy security, for climate goals. And the fascinating thing is the main barriers, they're not really technical anymore. The panels work, the tech is there.
So what is it then?
It's largely systemic, infrastructural. It's the resistance sometimes from the established power distributors who maybe see widespread rooftop solar as a threat to their own business model.
Ah, the discoms.
Exactly. And it's the human capital challenge, getting enough trained people to install and maintain these systems at scale. Overcoming these complex, often non-technical barriers is key to actually making these big energy transitions happen.
Those systemic issues, especially the wary distributors, sound like massive roadblocks.
Yeah.
If you had to pick just one, what do you reckon is the biggest bottleneck right now holding back rooftop solar in India?
Ooh, tough choice. But I probably lean towards the wary power distributors.
Really? Why them specifically?
Because their active cooperation is absolutely essential for connecting to the grid, for making net metering work smoothly. If they drag their feet or create bureaucratic hurdles, it doesn't matter how much subsidy there is or how keen a homeowner is.
It just stalls the whole process.
Exactly. It can effectively kill adoption right there. So getting the discoms fully on board and aligned with the national goals seems like the most critical piece to unlock right now.
Wow. Okay, we've certainly covered a lot of ground today, haven't we?
We really have.
From the nitty-gritty of stock market data access and fairness to Amazon trying to navigate the tricky world of healthcare diagnostics in India.
Right, the trust triangle.
And that whole complex food versus fuel debate with the race to ethanol plan.
Big ethical questions there.
Fierce competition in the paint sector.
The regulatory angle.
And finally, these persistent challenges in actually getting rooftop solar panels up on roofs, despite the clear need.
Yeah.
And each story, really, it's like a different window looking onto India's incredibly dynamic, fast-changing economic landscape.
Absolutely. And if we just sort of step back for a moment, what we've talked through really highlights these recurring themes, doesn't it?
Like what?
Well, the ongoing challenges for regulators trying to keep up with a rapidly digitizing economy, like we saw with BSE. Okay. How global giants like Amazon have to really adapt, sometimes fundamentally change their approach for unique local markets like India.
The healthcare example, yeah.
That constant, delicate balancing act between pushing for economic growth and dealing with really crucial social or environmental concerns. The ethanol case is a prime example.
Food versus fuel.
And just the sheer complexity of actually implementing big industrial policies or energy transitions on the ground, like with the solar targets, it's a really vibrant, complex picture of development unfolding.
So what does all this mean for you listening in? Well, hopefully, understanding these specific stories, these details, gives you a much richer lens, a way to see the bigger economic, social, and tech forces shaping one of the world's major economies.
It's about connecting those threads.
Yeah. Exactly. Seeing how seemingly separate events are often linked. So maybe a final thought to leave you with. As India keeps growing so rapidly, how do these specific incidents, a few seconds of data access here, a debate about rice there, struggles with solar panel installation, how do they all add up? How do they collectively shape the country's economic integrity, its social welfare, its environmental future? And maybe what's the role of having this kind of nuanced understanding, like what we've tried to unpack today, in actually navigating such a complex and frankly exciting landscape?